All right.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for joining us today. My name is Franco. I work with districts around the country to partner with Classcraft. I've been at Classcraft for about 2 years now. And with me here is my senior customer experience manager. His name's Hutch. So what
Hey.
Hutch does, he pretty much he works with the implementation. He does all the trainings. He's really the man behind Classcraft, which is really great as well. So if you want to go ahead and Hutch.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Welcome to our little webinar on PBIS. And like Franco said, thanks, Franco. I'm Andrew Hutchison, and everybody calls me Hutch. And I taught for 16 years, and I taught science classes. And I used Classcraft in my class for 4 years. And so it was a transformative use of technology for me. It was I tried it out as just another tech tool to try out in my class because I like doing that. And it turned out to be the best thing that I ever used in my teaching practice. What's really powerful about it is that underneath all of the color and the beautiful artwork and things that are built into the platform, there's relationship building, there's rapport building, and the platform is very carefully and intelligently designed so that your rapport with your students is facilitated in a way that's culturally relevant to them. And there's also rapport and team building built in between the students. So every year at the end of the year, when I use Classcraft, I would poll my students and say, how'd the year go? How can we do better next year in this course? How can Mr. Hutch improve his teaching art? And they would always say, well, keep Classcraft first of all, but thanks for using it because now I'm besties with this person right here, and I never would have talked to them otherwise, but you put us on a Classcraft team together. So there's a ton of great relationship building. It's really a relationship building platform. And I'm really excited to share it with you. I feel like this is me paying it forward. So thanks for watching and thanks for being with us here to check this out. Let's get into PBIS. Let's do some groundwork with PBIS just to get everybody on the same page. And if you're watching the recording and you already are a PBIS master, then feel free to go ahead and scrub forward a little bit because you're going to get what is PBIS for like the next 3 minutes or so. So, and I'm going to share screen and away we go. Franco, how's it look, buddy?
Oh, you're there.
You got it? How to improve your PBIS program? Yes. Okay. So, so what is PBIS? It stands for Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, and it's a type of MTSS. So what is MTSS? We love our acronyms in education. What is MTSS? MTSS stands for multi-tiered system of supports. So we have multi-tiers here in this pyramid. We have 3 of those. So 3 counts as multi, and we're providing a system of supports in PBIS around positive behaviors. A lot of us teachers, when we're in the class, we say, hey, no, stop doing that. Let's talk quieter, whatever we need to, we see students doing negative behaviors, and we want to correct it just by telling them, don't do that. But what we often forget to do is tell them what to replace those negative behaviors with. So what we really want to do when we take on a PBIS mindset is we want to transition from reactively managing student behaviors to proactively teaching them what kinds of behaviors they should practice in their lives to become successful, not just in our class, not just at our school, but as human beings and in our society. And so that's really the mindset shift from being reactive to proactive and teaching students how to behave. There's a famous quote around PBIS. It's, when students don't know how to do math, we teach them. When students don't know how to read and write, we teach them. And there's a bunch of other, when students don't know how to ride a bike, we teach them. But when students don't know how to behave, what do we do? Like, do we teach them or do we just kind of like, punish them or discipline them? So that's what we're going to do. Now, there's 3 different tiers of support in a typical school-wide PBIS implementation. And so you see at the top of this slide, it says SW PBIS. So SW, as I've just said, it stands for school-wide positive behavior intervention support system. And tier 1 is what we call universal prevention, where you're going to proactively be teaching and supporting students in how to practice positive behaviors for all of your students in your entire school or district. So these are the types of things where we have classroom expectations. You might have posters in the hallways of, hey, this is how we be respectful, responsible, safe, and engaged. You know, we have those kinds of school goals for behavior. We lay down like, oh, what does respect look like in the bathrooms or in the hallways or in the classroom or in the cafeteria? That's tier 1 type of support. We're supporting all students and letting them know what are our expectations and what are behaviors that will make you successful here. For some students, they need extra supports, so we go up the pyramid. This is going to be typically about 10 to 15% of your student population in most schools, and this is going to be tier 2 support. Now, typically what this looks like in a school setting is small group support. So you're going to have students who need a little more focused time with an adult, but they can do so in a small group of their peers, with one adult meeting with them once, twice, maybe daily each week, to go over things like, oh, how are you doing academically? How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing socially? And they kind of unpack that together with an adult supporting them. And then the top tier of support, tier 3, this is for your 1 to 5% of students. And this is where these are students who need intensive support from a single adult, one-on-one type of attention. Sometimes these students will be assigned an individualized education plan. They might be assigned an adult who follows them around from class to class to help them stay on task or stay focused, or just to support them in the moment. So that's the 3 tiers of an MTSS. And there are other types of MTSSs. There's RTI, which is a type of MTSS focused on academic performance. And what we're looking at is behavior support with PBIS. All right, so you got that base knowledge. Now, what does it typically look like? I kind of mentioned it already. You see on this slide, we see an example of one of those posters that might be put up around the room. Maybe there might be one of these in every classroom. There might be one of these in every hallway. And it's telling students, like, how are you going to be respectful, responsible, and safe in all of these locations at the school? Now, it's really amazing and wonderful that administration has taken the time, or a leadership team at the school has taken the time to put this all together and to kind of nail down, like, what are the specific expectations and what are like things we really want to see students doing, specific behaviors and so on. But there's too much going on the poster, and oftentimes the thing we find is that students don't even look at them anyways, and students won't be able to tell you even the, like, oh, we're respectful, responsible, and safe, unless it's like in the announcements every day and or something like that. The other issue that we find, the other challenge we find with traditional PBIS systems and implementations is the challenge of rewards. So, you know, what do students get for practicing these positive behaviors? And a typical implementation will include something like a school store, which you see in the background picture here. And there are going to be fun little items that students can turn in tickets or tokens to purchase. And they earn those tickets or tokens. They're typically paper, and they earn them from their teachers or from, you know, folks in the cafeteria, wherever, for practicing positive behaviors. It's fine, but we run into problems with kids like losing their tokens, or they lost them, but they say someone stole them, or things like that. So, and also on the school-wide side, for us adults, tracking student behavior, how do we know the system is working? How do we know that students are practicing more positive behaviors on the daily? And how do we know that all this effort and time that we're putting into this is making a difference in the students' lives and will continue to make a difference in their lives after they leave our school? There's no data with this type of paper-based system. There's I remember being a teacher, we were the Bulldogs, and we had dog bones, which were our paper tokens. And so I had a stack of dog bones that were copied slips of paper that were in my desk in a drawer. And when I saw a kid doing a thing, then I'd open the drawer, I'd take out a slip, I'd sign my name to it, and then I'd hand it to the student. Now the student can use that for like raffles and lunch or things like that, or at the school store, but we have no data on once a student turns that in, like which class period, which teacher. Even though I signed a slip, there's no data on like which student did what behavior to earn that token. And also the students could just give it to their friends too. Like I remember doing a slip and then giving it to the kid, and then their friend was like, hey, I'm collecting a bunch for the raffle for next week. Can I please have your thing? I'll give you like my banana at lunch today. And so like, yeah, he's like, okay, yeah, here you go, man. Like, so the data is like unmanageable. So at Classcraft, we're going to help you solve that issue. So what we have is we digitize this whole system. We can digitize the tokens. And then you can use your platform like a cash register of sorts. And then we also digitize the rewards. So you don't have to have a school store anymore. You don't have to go spend all this money and try to keep an inventory on these physical items. We can bring this system into 2022 and brighten up the year in a rare way. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So you think of those expectations that were on that poster. Now just imagine taking those be responsible, be respectful, be safe types of behaviors, and we are going to type them into the computer, and we're going to connect points to doing those behaviors. So completing classwork, 150 XP, being positive and hardworking, another 150 XP. So XP is the acronym for points in Classcraft, but it's also a thing that's culturally relevant to your kids. This is going to create a lot of buy-in to the system immediately, because XP is an acronym that stands for experience points, and it comes right out of every video game. Even games you play on your phone, they all give you experience points for doing things in the game. And this is how you track your success in games. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to track our success at school by earning XP, by earning experience points. They're literally earning experience in real life and practicing positive behaviors. And as it just takes a click on your phone or in your computer, wherever you happen to have a device in front of you, and you can open Classcraft. I used my phone because I've walked around. I was a science teacher, so I walked around the room a lot. So I would just use it on my phone and throw points out to the kids. And they're getting constantly reassured, encouraged, but they're also getting digital rewards while they're practicing these positive behaviors. And we as adults are getting amazing real-time data coming in from every classroom that is using this. And even administrators, you can even be using this on your phone to see a kid pick up trash in the hallway. You can say, that was showing respect for our campus. I'm giving you 100 XP for that. And now the date and time, when you click respect for our campus on your phone and give that to that student, the date and time is remembered in Classcraft for you, and you can create like all kinds of really wonderful reports on individual students or your student body as a whole to show how they are becoming more respectful, more responsible, more safe over time. And what's really cool is that the kids love it at the same time, because the system is intrinsically motivating. So not all motivation is created equally. So we have intrinsic and we have extrinsic motivation. When you think about the school store situation, then this is a very extrinsically motivating system. So these are external rewards. And if you do something to earn tokens and then turn those tokens in, you now have no tokens anymore, but you have a pencil or a pen or an eraser or a dinosaur. And that's an external reward you wanted to get. If the school store runs out of inventory, if the external rewards are taken away, then the motivation ceases. Why would I continue to try to earn tokens when the tokens are meaningless and can get me nothing? What we want to create is a system that is intrinsically motivating. And intrinsically motivating is where you engage in a behavior because that behavior fulfills emotional needs for you. So this is something where you do the behavior for the behavior's sake. And so what we're going to find is that if we turn to the world of gaming, specifically video games, but if you think of sports as games as well, if you think of tabletop gaming experiences, card games and board games, all of these types of games are very intrinsically motivating. I mean, that's why we play them. Nobody plays, well, I guess some streamers play games for money, it's their job, but typically nobody plays games because they have to. They play them because they want to. And in fact, you can define a game as play with rules. So what we're going to do is we're going to make school, real life, feel like a game. The word for this is actually gamification, to make a game like, and to pull in intrinsically motivating components of games to real life, to put this beautiful augmentation layer on top of life. And it's really fun. I loved doing it myself in class. So what we're going to do is we're going to be able to provide students with this culturally relevant way of connecting and fulfilling emotional needs like competency. Their competencies, that skill progression, they're already, school is built around competency, right? But students don't connect that to their heart. Like they might be like, okay, I'm getting better at math. Maybe somewhere they realize that somewhere, but how do we get them to really emotionally connect with like, yes, I am becoming better and I am growing and my life is moving forward. That's competency. Autonomy is feeling freedom, feeling the power to have more choice in your life than you had before. And relatedness is feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself and you're socially connected. And so these three games here are over 2 decades old each, but they're still all three incredibly popular games. And they fulfill these emotional needs for those that play them. And what we're going to do is use components of games like this to bring this out in real life and facilitate that and put that into our teachers' hands, the ability to in a culturally relevant way, help kids feel like they're connected and they're moving forward and they have more choice and they have the ability to earn more choice through the rewards that they're earning in the platform. And on top of that, the platform is built all around equity. What we find in our traditional systems is that, unfortunately, there's a disconnect. Traditional systems seem to be based on several meta studies that have been done. They seem to be biased against male students and against African American students. And we've done several studies with Classcraft and schools using Classcraft, and we find that it is equitable across the board, across socioeconomic lines, across race lines, across gender lines. And the reason why is because there's a lot, you can see on this graphic, I don't expect you to really dissect this graphic right now, but it's put on here to be kind of like sticker shock, like, boom, what is this? There's a lot of motivating pieces moving around built in this platform. And there's a lot of features that we built in over the past 7 years of continually improving Classcraft that you're going to have ways of motivating students no matter what helps motivate them. And that's what you can really take away from here. There's the competency, there's features that motivate students because it fulfills some autonomy. There's some features that just build in surprise. So students are going to pay more attention to that moment because they're going to be surprised by what happens. There's the relatedness piece. Then there's discovery and storytelling. All of this is baked into the platform for you. And then as soon as you start using it, boom, your whole PBIS program is student-centered, student-focused, and a lot of fun. So I can't wait to show it to you. Let's just go into it. Let's take a look at it. So here we are in a teacher account, and because that's where the action really lives, right? In the classroom, in the moment. So here I am in my teacher account, and I've got my 4 different class periods. And then I've got a demonstration class that I want to show you, because I want to show you what this looks like from the student's perspective. So let's take a look at Tilly here. So when a student, and you can allow students to log into the platform, and they get this view. They get a customizable character. They get to choose the skin tone, the gender, and then they get to earn all these cool little customizations for their character. Everything on this character is a different thing, like the boots, the hair, the staff thing, the lay around her neck, all of that. And how do they get cooler looks for their character? Well, they have to practice positive behaviors. So when a teacher catches, like if I catch Tilly doing something right, then I can just click plus here. And I say like, and here's our school-wide PBIS positive behaviors that we are proactively teaching our students to practice, and that they want to practice because they're going to earn these points every time we catch them practicing them. And so I just saw Tilly showing up to class on time. And that's a thing we've been working with her on. And so I'm saying, Tilly, you know what? You showed a lot of self-control getting to class on time. You had to get through that hallway. You had to plan your way. You didn't stop to talk to your friends this time. Boom. Great job. So Tilly just earned 150 XP for getting the class on time, showing self-control. Now, as Tilly earns points, let's take a look at this little experience points bar here. And notice the dark purple is about like 2/3 of the way to the end. Tilly is filling this bar as she earns points. So I just give her some more points here for working well with others in class, and boom, the bar goes up. And give her some more points for being positive and hardworking on that handout we did in class today, and boom. And then, you know, like, oh, you know what? I was given instructions today, and Tilly, I saw you. You were making eye contact the whole time. I loved it. You were listening carefully while I was speaking. And then, you know, Tilly saw, oh, Mr. Hutch, I saw like something was laying in the hallway, and it didn't look right to me. There was a backpack left or whatever. Okay, Tilly, you're seeing something, saying something. Now, she filled the bar all the way up. Once she fills the bar all the way up, she starts filling it over again. But it's not a Sisyphus situation where Sisyphus is, you know, the guy who pushed the rock up the hill just to let it roll back down every time. Well, that's demotivating. This is a motivating system. We want them to experience competency. That's skill progression. So how is that built in? Well, she filled the bar and she leveled up. She was a level 20 learner at our school just a moment ago. And now she's a level 21. And this level is not taken away from her. She can cash in digital rewards, and she doesn't lose her level. And that's a big motivating problem with the ticket system, because you cash in your tickets and you're back to square one. You have no tickets anymore. You have no, like, you have a pencil now, cool, but you're back to square one. So this is a constant, like, moving forward. By the end of the school year, you know, you're going to see kids at all these crazy levels, like Brian's level 12, Tilly's level 21. So Tilly's been doing crazy. She's been earning points like crazy. Brian's maybe, you know, he's moving forward, but not as fast, right? So that's, now how does Tilly cash in these rewards? Okay, so there's a couple of things. We saw that big motivating components piece on that slide. So let's look at a couple of things. Like, first of all, Tilly might really like the customization. She's got a pretty cool looking character here. She's put some time and thought into customizing her character. And she also has, in addition to experience points, she has these gold pieces. Now this is your digitized tokens. All right, so you don't have the paper tokens anymore. What replaces them? Well, not experience points, because those just go into like tracking her positive behavior and helping her to level up. But she also gets, every time I give her points for doing something, you picked up some paper there, you cleaned up your desk, Tilly, thank you for doing that. You're respecting school property, boom. But look, she's gonna get XP, but she's also gonna get GP. That stands for gold pieces. So she's getting some gold pieces here every time I click. As the teacher, I don't need to think about that. I don't need to keep all this XP, GP stuff in my brain. I just look for the positive and I just click the plus and I give her points. But on the student side of things, she's thinking about it for sure. Oh, they just bumped me out here. Let me bump back in. This just happens in a demo environment sometimes. All right, so like, let's go back to Tilly. I was having too much fun with Tilly. So then let's see what this looks like from the student perspective. So as a teacher, as any user, you all can view as students. So I'm going to view from a student perspective here. And let's see what Tilly can do with these tokens or these gold pieces. So first of all, this is one thing I really, really love. There's an insane amount of communication built right into the platform. Students, if you let them log into a character and have a little device time, which they don't need, by the way, they don't need this. They don't need to be logged in here on a device during class. You can let them log in and it just takes a few clicks to like customize their character, but they're not going to take this character and play through some video game. We are making real life the game. And then we're just giving them this digital character that looks cooler and cooler over time to help the kids connect with that competency piece that they are growing in real life. This is a metaphor for their growth as a real human being. But if she wants to like figure out, well, how can I earn more points? And my kids definitely did this. They can just click on the experience points and it shows them, okay, these are the things I can do in this class to earn more points. And teachers have autonomy as well. Teachers are going to have those school-wide behaviors, but they're also going to have classroom-specific behaviors that they can put in their class. Like for me as a science teacher, I would also put in helper of the day because I'd give points for being my helper of the day. And then I'd put in lab safety because I loved seeing them, work together safely in the lab. And I wanted to encourage that. So kids have visibility on what they can do to earn points. They can't give themselves points. Like they can click on this. They can't be like, I'm a helper of the day. Click, 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 click. They can't give themselves, but they do get that visibility, which this is more powerful than the poster on the wall that, that's cool, but then we all tend to start forgetting about it. This is right there and just a click away. Now let's take a look at these gold pieces. So here we have some equipment here and Tilly has all these different accessories that Tilly can equip and then save changes. And then Tilly can, let's say like Tilly wants to, let's see, now this is grayed out. This is part of that surprise and discovery. Tilly needs to level up to level 40 to see this stuff. But let's look at some stuff maybe that Tilly has already unlocked. So let's see here down here. Okay, so maybe that's cool. I like having the blue knees. So I'm going to have 856 gold pieces. I'm going to use 240 of them to buy this and then save those changes. And they even have little pets that they can equip. And the middle schoolers and elementary kids love these pets, man. And they can go in here and they can start a little pet on a training mission and it'll be back in 24 hours. And that's a little gimmick to get kiddos to check in on your platform. And why would you want them to check in on the platform? And they can do that on their phones. They can do that on their own time. Most schools, kids do this on their own time. They get home from school and they're like, let's see what I earned today in school. And I'll go on and they'll look at their character. They'll train their pet and all that. But there's a lot of other things you can build in to the platform. So you can have kiddos giving kudos to each other, which is an amazing thing where now students are able to, like as a student, I can click send kudos and I can make a kudos for another student. So Cherie really helped me out on that project. I want to say thank you. And I'm going to say thank you for helping me out with our last project. And then like I can put in all kinds of fun stuff to make it pretty and fun. So maybe like I'll throw in this little Bugs Bunny GIF. You say GIF or GIF, Franco? Franco's muted.
Sorry about that. I'm more of a GIF guy.
All right.
I say GIF.
GIF. All right. Thanks, April. Yeah, that's a one I'm always kind of going back and forth on. And so your kudos has been submitted for approval. We don't want to create drama. We want to create positivity. So all of these that we can see on the class wall that students can see, these are all teacher approved. But Tilly just submitted this, and this is what it'll look like. And here's Cherie's character. Cherie gets celebrated by Tilly, and Cherie will get points for when the teacher approves this. The platform will automatically give Cherie some points. So there's relatedness built in here. Students are able to publicly praise each other, and this class wall is visible by every kid in the class just by clicking on the little kudos icon. And then, you might want to send out class announcements so students can view what's going to happen in class the next day, or they can message their teacher and teachers can turn that on or off. And so there are ways, so the pets thing, the equipment thing, like that's digital rewards. You might have some kids also though, who are like, okay, cute, but I'm an 8th grader. I'm too cool for school. I'm like the ruler of the middle school. So yeah, I'm not really into the little like pet thing. Or what do I get? What do I get? Okay, well, here's what you get. So those would be the kids who want to go to like the school store and get a real world thing, right? But we don't even need to do the school store. We have real world privileges built into the platform. So there are these powers. As students level up, they can earn more powers, and every time they level up, they earn one of these blue guys, a crystal. So right now, Tilly has 5 crystals, and Tilly can go into Tilly's powers area and spend a crystal to activate a power. And then Tilly's teacher gets notified that Tilly activated a power. So Tilly has these powers. The student is excused from being chosen to answer a question, dodge. And so if Tilly clicks on dodge, it shows Tilly, this is what's going to happen. It's going to cost you a crystal. You can use your power. And then the teacher gets to decide, when's an appropriate time to honor this power. And again, we're facilitating relationship. So the relationship is everything here. And so like the teacher and the student would talk through like, okay, which kind of question do you want to be excused from answering? Oh, I want to be excused from answering that one question that is the whole quiz today. No, I don't think we could do that, but I can let you use this power on tonight's homework, which is maybe like a 10 question thing in the book, and you don't have to answer number 10. You can do 1 through 9 instead. All right, Mr. Hodge, fine. Okay, let's do this. So there's powers, and you can change these. We have baked into the platform things that we as folks at Classcraft, like myself, who have been teachers in the real world with real students, we have worked really hard to put in powers that we think will be things that will not break school rules, will not be annoying for teachers to manage. They're typically things that a lot of teachers will build into their classes as rewards anyways, like a homework pass or something like that. But now it's just digitized for you. And it's easy to keep track of. And what are you doing for the students? You're providing a ton of motivation here because now they have autonomy to make a choice that is more freedom than they normally have. They can now choose, like, I have these 5 crystals. Well, now she has 4 because she just used a power. And I can choose which power I want to enact. Maybe I want to be able to wear headphones during our silent reading time today. So I'm going to ask Mr. Hutch if I can play my eavesdrop power. And I said before, like, the student doesn't need to be on a device. So yes, if you have devices, the student can do this because I'm being a student right now on my platform, but the teacher could do this for the student as well. And it's really easy. It's just a click. If I go back to being a teacher, I can have this on my computer open. And now I'm a teacher right now, just viewing my student roster, and I can see Tilly's powers and I can use it for her as well. Boop. So Tilly doesn't need to have a device or anything like that. And when I did this as a class, they didn't have devices out because we were really hands-on. We'd be making slime that day or something in class, in science class. No computers out for slime day. We're gonna slime on our computers. So I would just, project Classcraft on the screen along with whatever other stuff we were gonna do that day. All right, Franco, I've been talking enough. What do you think, buddy? What anything you want to throw in? You want to play devil's advocate? You want to ask any questions? April, you have any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, of course. Um, so, for me, it would be, if I was looking at this for school district, I would definitely ask cost first. So that's one question. The other question is, what age groups do y'all, I mean, how early do you start this? And then what about high schoolers? And I was thinking, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad, but maybe they'll think it's dumb. But I'm thinking maybe use it for soft skills building. And then is there a way to like print out um, their accomplishments in some way, or something to give to, I mean, I know it's kind of silly, but I think as an employer, and I mean, just, I don't know, or not an employer, but just a way to kind of show how they've grown would be really cool.
April, that's so awesome. Okay, I love your last question so much. I'm going to start with that one, and then we'll kind of like move back up through them. So yes, now I mentioned we're getting all this cool data, but then I neglected to show it. So thanks, April. So even on the teacher side, you're going to be able to see data on the students that are in your classes. So if I click on I can click this arrow and expand this down at the bottom here, and we can see what these little icons mean. But we have this little dots connected thing. So if we want to connect the dots around our students' progress, we can head here to the analytics section. And the first thing we see is a game feed. This is showing like in our class, which is now feeling like a game, all the things that have happened in chronological order. But my favorite is the student overview. This is the magic right here, especially for a STEM teacher like myself, but really as just a teacher who might have to go to a student support meeting soon, or might want to share some information with parents, or just want to see how my kids are doing. So here's Cherie. I can see Clinton. I can see Brian. I can see Tilly. I see all my kids here in the roster, and I can see the things that they've earned points for over time. So I'll zoom in on this a little bit because it's pretty small when you're trying to share screen. But what I love about this is I can filter the date range. I can hover over like this on the 22nd of last month. This student earned 148 experience points on that day. Okay, that's nice, but what did they do? Like, what are they doing? So here is the thing. In this date range on this graph, and who am I looking at? Oh, Tilly again. All right, I'm looking at Tilly. So Tilly has shown self-control 3 times in the last, whatever this date range is, couple weeks. Tilly has been respecting others in school property once. View from above, view from above. I've got my lesson plans built into Classcraft on what we call quests. And they're basically just a way for you to put your lesson plans onto a beautiful little map. It turns your lessons into learning adventures, and the students unlock the next part of your lesson across a map. And one of my lesson plan activities was called View from Above. So, and it'll automatically give your kiddos points for completing your lessons as well. So that's where she got one learning task done in her quest. And then she's also listened carefully, and she's been positive and hardworking. And you compare this month to month, and you can really get a view for how she's improving, how she's growing. And another cool thing it's like a lot of little hidden cool things in here. Like if you see the light purple line there? Yeah, okay. So this is showing the class average on that day. So, on this day, on the 31st, Tilly didn't earn any points. Maybe she had a rough day that day, because the class as a whole like earned 87 points each. So you can have a conversation with Tilly about like, hey, what happened, last week there? On what was the deal there? Oh, I wasn't here that day, Mr. Hodge. Oh, okay, or whatever it is, But the really cool thing is that this real-time kind of data, and then you can see she's doing really well, especially today because I've just been using her for giving out points in the demo here. But you can see that now she's like, oh, she's surpassing the class average. This real-time data coming in from every class, because every teacher, if we're using this school-wide, every teacher has these same reasons that we can look to give points for our kids. And so teacher to teacher, I can see like, oh, her other teachers are giving her points for self-control, but she's not showing a lot of self-control in my class. I wonder why. Now that facilitates a conversation. Or you can see that like she's showing more self-control across the board. And this is on the teacher side. on the admin side of things, you can get school-wide data, you can get behavior data on all your students and how everyone's showing respect more, and you can see the individual students as well. So it's really, really cool. And I'll be happy to show the admin data if we're interested. Now, part of PBIS, while I'm here, part of PBIS is also being able to track negative behavior, and you can do that. It's not really it's not really like super in right now in education, because we want to be focusing on the positive, and everybody's kind of like, it's been such a crazy couple of years that a lot of folks, we're really focusing on just creating that positive environment as students are coming back in the building and trying to learn how to do school again in a positive light. But you can track the negative behavior, and it is an important piece to supporting students. So that's built in as health for their characters. So if like a student makes a poor choice, maybe Brian is struggling today, you have a plus and you have a minus. And so you can click the minus, and there are baked in school-wide reasons for negative choices that would negatively affect their learning, and therefore are going to negatively affect their Classcraft character. So Brian, impulsivity is a big age appropriate, but a big deal with middle school, right? So we're working on being less impulsive, but Brian, remember, next time you got to raise your hand instead of just shouting out. So and that's just the cool thing I like about this, is that when a teacher needs to provide a moment of course correction around a negative behavior, this is all gamified. So it's not Mr. Hutch doesn't like Brian. It's not that, oh, I still love you the same, Brian, but you break the rules of the game and then the game reacts. That's the way every game works. Old school Mario, you don't jump over the hole in the ground, you fall down the hole. Like, that's just how it works. And that's how the game of life works as well. So there are consequences to poor choices, and now we can track those choices as well. If I go back to my analytics, and again, this data is in real time, so let's take a look at Brian, and we can see the positive things Brian's been doing. But today's been a hard day for Brian. Like, the class has this crazy average. Brian's not earned any positive points. And I had to provide some correction for Brian. Now, the cool thing is that you have this activity center where you get notified about all the events happening in your class. So students play powers. You don't have to rummage through anything to find that. You can just take a look at very specific things. And here's the damage that I had to deal with Brian for being off task. And I can deal with that just by clicking on it and click on that. And now it should be tracked in my analytics. And there it is. Boop. Uh-oh. And it looks really big, but it's really just one little heart that gets taken off his character. And the hearts look like this when you look at their profile. So here's their health. And Brian's been struggling. Like, Brian only has one little heart left. So the really cool thing about this is that now we can identify our struggling students, our at-risk students, before they're failing every class. And all of a sudden we have to throw them on that tier 3 support. We looked at the pyramid here and then all of a sudden, a lot of times in traditional settings, all of a sudden the kid is failing everything and getting referrals and a frequent flyer in the dean's office. And we're like, what happened? And so tier 3, boom, they skip tier 2 immediately to tier 3 support. And now we are dedicating an adult to that one child. It's expensive. You got to pay that adult's salary, and that adult's day is dedicated to supporting that child. And I'm not saying that's bad. And that child needs support. But I am saying, if you have a system like this, where the teachers can tell you in real time, like, oh, Brian has been losing health for his character for a month, and we look at that and we see that coming in our analytics, then we can help Brian before it's a tier 3 type of issue. We can move Brian to tier 2 and put him in that small group support. And then what's really cool is when Brian starts to turn around with that tier 2 support, we'll start to see it here. And we'll say, you know what, Brian, I think this is working for you. And maybe we can actually start moving students back down the pyramid. That almost never happens. It almost never happens that you can like you get data enough to move a student down the pyramid because it's all paper-based typically, and because it's super slow, and you have to have these hour-long support meetings oftentimes, and they only happen every once in a while. But with this, you'll be able to help support that kid. So anyway, sorry, Franco. I will go on forever. You got to stop me.
Were you able to show it in a list view as well?
Yeah. So yes. Oh, thanks. Yeah, man. So there's all kinds of, you can print this, you can filter it, you can do other kinds of filters, but yes, you can show the list as well. Thanks, Franco. Appreciate this. This is a nice clean. Yeah. So now we have a nice clean view, and we can view the HP as well. So I'll just click HP and filter, and we can see the date, the time this happens. Other cool things that we've seen at schools are they've noticed like, oh, this is always happening right before lunch or right after lunch. And you get that time there. It's beautiful because now you can really pinpoint those moments where, oh, well, Brian's sugar levels are just off the chart after lunch, and that's yeah. So and it's or there's a Brian struggles in math class. That's where that's always happening. So it helps you facilitate supporting Brian in that specific situation. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Thanks, Franco. I love the filter view. It's nice and clean.
And then I just want to say something real quick. So April put in a question in the chat too. Does Classcraft Integrator work with district platforms like Powerschool, Canvas, Google Suites, and Microsoft? So we actually integrate with Google and Canvas right now. We also have an integration with Clever and ClassLink for single sign-on. But like Powerschool and Microsoft, those are next on our list to eventually get going with. But right now we're focusing really on our Canvas integration.
And
so what do you think the ETA is with Canvas and then with the Microsoft and what did you say, Google?
Yeah, so we're fully loaded with Google, and we have the integration with Canvas already up and running. So Powerschool and Microsoft, they're going to be down the line.
Okay. Just to give clarification, if I get asked that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have several clients who use Schoology, and I remember as a teacher, I used Schoology I use Schoology as my LMS and use Classcraft for motivating students to do their Schoology assignments, because I would just give them points in Classcraft for finishing their Schoology stuff. But in Canvas and in the Google integrations, you can have, now that they're integrated, like Canvas will automatically give kiddos Classcraft points for finishing their assignments. You can give them bonus points for finishing early. They just came out with and we're continuing to deepen the relationship. They just came out with an update where now in your class discussions, students can automatically earn Classcraft points for participating in those discussions in Canvas. So it's really kind of a set and forget type of integration, which is really, really nice for teachers. And in Google Classroom, we are integrated with Google Classroom. You can have your kiddos. I talked about those quests. I never showed one. Let me show you just, these are like learning adventures that you can put on here. You can totally ignore this feature if you want to, but I absolutely loved it. And my high school kids, especially high school teachers, love this. And you mentioned high school, by the way, April, I'll answer that kind of indirectly here. I used this for 4 years with high schoolers. We're talking 10th, 11th, 12th graders. And and you might think, oh, well, those characters, like that's a bunch of silliness, but you'd be surprised if I pulled up Brian and this is projected in the classroom, and this happened all the time. I just pulled up Brian and be like, Brian, that's cool, like shield thingy, like when did you get that? How'd you get that? Or that wolf pet is cool. Like the kids start to glow. They're like, and then all of a sudden I've got other kids being like, Mr. Hutch, show my character. I got some new boots. It's really sweet. Like it's even in high school, it's amazing. There's something really cool about it. But then with, like I said, with your high schoolers, they get really more excited about a lot of them get excited about the customizations, but the powers are really powerful at the high school level. The pets, the character.
Is there a permission to skip class?
I mean,
I
you
can see a
can
high
make your
schooler being like, yeah, dude, I want that power right there.
okay, I will say this, that you can make your powers whatever you want. So I did have a power. If I go into my class settings here, I can go to my powers and I can just literally type in whatever I want that privilege to be, and I can type in a different name. But I did
I'm
have a
totally
power where it was
joking.
like, oh yeah, you don't want to break school rules, right? No, but I did have like, you get to line up. You can't line up at the door at the end of class, fire hazard and all that. But if they did have a power, it was like, if you play this power today, you can stand by the door before the bell rings. Everyone else stays seated, and then they're the first one out the door. And that was a very popular one. But yeah, no skipping class, unfortunately. I did have okayed with admin to do like, they could have a up and out pass. So they built in an up and out pass to a power here. And it was just like, go get a drink of water, go take a quick, back in 3 minutes kind of walk thing. So yeah. But yeah, it works in high school. And
That's cool.
my kids love it.
I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that. I had some other questions and I just spaced. And I apologize. I do have a toddler, so he's screaming in the background. If you hear him,
Super cute. I'm getting distracted because he
thanks.
pops on the screen and I'm like, oh, he's cute.
He's right there. He has to be by mama. So if I was a district, so I guess I would say, are there a little bit of flexibilities? Like I can see the counselor needing to use this, several other, if there was a student with an IEP, possibly to access that information. So is there a little bit of flexibility with your accounts as far as, or am I charged every dime? I'm just curious on, kind of how I could structure that and how I can get it to work in the best way. And my other question for districts would be support. What type of support am I looking at? Because basically we're in the challenge of, oh God, one more thing that we have to do and implement. And that is really, really difficult and challenging to do when it boots on the ground and district wide. So that would be my next questions, I guess.
So if you come on with us like school wide, you're able to have as many teachers and whoever you can basically have whoever works at the school use this. So you can have all your guidance counselors. We even have lunch people do it. We have bus drivers. We have the custodians. Like whoever can see something, give out points. You can do it that way. So the pricing goes by a student count. So it definitely varies by how many students you have. So like, if somebody did want to speak about this, after we could talk about your specific case, like your specific school case. But yeah, so it's totally up to you of who you want to use it. And then Hutch, if you want to go into onboarding and different things like that too for the team, make it easier for them.
My pleasure. Yeah. So, I was showing you all the bells and whistles that teachers have. Like there's all kinds of class tools and things they can use to manage the classroom. But if you're a counselor, my wife's a school counselor. She's over at the high school right now. You don't need those. You don't need to run a class. You don't need all that stuff. You don't need to put course curriculum onto Quest maps or any of that. So there's a very simple feature we have in here where it's school-wide use, and you can find any student in your school roster, and you can even save quick access groups to reward points to all those students. So like all these students that maybe I coach after school. And so this is my little team, and I can say like, y'all, you worked really hard today at practice. So boom, you're all getting points for being positive and hardworking, and done. And this interface works great on the phone. You can see it's very simplistic looking on a device, on my PC here, because it's made to work really on the phone, on the go. So administrators in the hallways and lunch, folks working in the cafeteria, folks working on the bus. The buses is magic because the bus driver can get to the end of the, and now they have something like, but poor bus drivers. It's just like, hey, I know yelling on the bus, everyone sit down. And the kids are like, well, what are we going to do? Being out? Well, I'll tell the principal when we get to the school. But now like bus drivers can say like, hey, y'all, like it was a great ride today. And they can give, like, they can have their whole bus like as a group here. And they can be like, And it's just a couple of clicks like on, you know, on the phone. So that's how every adult can get involved, and you don't have to have a complicated interface. It's this simple. That's what like staff and everyone will just use.
What about parents?
Parents, okay, yes, you can invite.
Because
parents,
you know how we want to be consistent about behaviors in school and behaviors at home. So this would be an opportunity for parents also to, you know, participate, I would think. Anyways.
Exactly. Yes. Parents can, parents need to be invited. But once you invite a parent, then they can have a free account. You don't have to pay any extra for parents to have accounts or anything like that. It's all just brought in with the school license. And your parents can have a free account, and then they can just open up Classcraft and the Classcraft app on their phone or whatever device they're comfortable with. They have visibility on their student, or if they have multiple students at your school, then they can have visibility on all their students from the same account. They can see what their students are earning points for. They can even, like, if you put the course content out there in quests or whatever, the parents can even have visibility on what the students are supposed to be working on in their quests. And the parents can, this is really cool, the parents can have an allowance to give their students for doing positive behaviors at home in gold pieces. So you saw those gold pieces like Classcraft money, and parents can give out up to 15 gold pieces per day to their kids, really for whatever the parent wants to give out the points for. But this is a wonderful way to partner with your parents, and parents often like end up just thanking principals like, oh, thank you so much. My kid would never make his bed, and now I just give him these like gold things, and
he's make believe money, and he's doing it.
Yeah, what? I don't know why he cares about him, but I'm doing it, and he's doing it, and that's what I like. So yeah, totally. As far as support, implementation support, we pride ourselves on that. We really do. Actually, that's what my entire team does. My main job.
Yeah, because if you're selling relationship to me with this program, you better have a relationship with the schools. You know what I mean?
Right? So, how hypocritical would it be to be like, okay, thanks for buying this relationship building platform. See you never again. I'll come back when it's time to renew and I want your money again. So
happens all the time.
That is not what we do. That is 100% against our mission at Classcraft and how we operate. So what we do is when you buy a school-wide or a district-wide implementation license, baked right into that is a whole implementation package where you automatically have a 60-minute teacher PD where it'd be myself, it'd be one of my other customer experience managers. You get assigned one of us. So we form a relationship with you or your leadership team. We want that relationship because what we want to do is help you build culture and climate. And that's very purposeful for us. Like that's where I find purpose in my job. So I love that piece. And so we want to know, like, how is this going to be tailored to your school? How can we tailor it to your school? You know, what exact behaviors do you want in every teacher's hands when they're giving out points? And we sit down with you on your leadership team. We have several implementation meetings, as many as you need, and we customize your school settings. We get that all set up for you. And then we walk you through inviting your teachers to the platform. Your teachers get an email. They click on that. They can log into their accounts, and they see what we see here. Then we set up that 60-minute PD. It's often done here, like on a Zoom, like we're seeing here. All the teachers join, or they can all be in a room together, and you project to us on the screen. We set up the class with them. We get them comfortable using the platform. We talk to them about autonomy. We talk to them about school-wide being synchronized, and in the philosophy of like, we're all one big team here. We're providing a clear, consistent message to every student by looking for the same kinds of behaviors. But then everyone on my team has been an educator. So we know what it's like to be an educator and all of a sudden, hey, there's a new thing that we're implementing school-wide. So we talk to teachers about, let's bring that anxiety down. This is something that is not going to feel like one more thing. It's going to feel like so much more fun to come to work now, because your students are going to be loving coming to those classes and getting these points. And it really brightened up my teaching experience. And I wasn't teaching in a time like this. And I enjoyed teaching before using Classcraft, but I enjoyed it even more because there's a ton of, it bakes in a ton of fun. And teachers can put in whatever behaviors they want to in their classes in addition to the school-wide ones. So we train them on all that. And you can purchase additional workshops, but then a month after that training, we start bugging you admins again, because we want to have a data meeting with you. We want to say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of really cool data coming in from your classes now that your teachers have been using this for a month. I want to make sure you're comfortable getting in and getting back out of the platform. I want you to be able to hop in Classcraft real quick, see how your school's doing, see how an individual kid's doing, know exactly how to get that report in 2 seconds. And then you got to be on your way, because you got a lot of things going on. And so we have that data meeting with the admins, and we talk to them about, hey, this data right here, this is your takeaway. Like, here's an announcement you can give out. Here's a thing, like, go to this teacher and tell them, I see you and I love what you're doing. Thanks for contributing to our culture. So we love working with you all year. And when it comes down to like, okay, it's springtime, what I'm doing right now when I'm not doing this is I am talking to our admins about, all right, how do we start wrapping up the school year? Let's start having, like, show the teachers how to celebrate. Yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking, like, for me, grants, maybe I have a grant, a PBIS grant that I have, or I don't know, something, or I have to report that back to the state. I just wanted an easy way for administrators, that it would be easy to collect that data from Classcraft and then add it in or implement it into whatever reporting I'm going to have to be doing. So to back up and justify the dollars being spent in my school district. So I just, I'm sure it's in there.
Oh yeah, here, I can actually show you the admin side of things. I'm going to go back into being an admin, and
Caitlin Gonzalez, I don't know if you're still with us, but if you have any questions, please, these guys are amazing. Classcraft is so much fun, and we'd love to hear from you. Crickets.
So here's the district that you have district administrator access or school administrator access. And on a district side, it's very similar view to the school side, but district side gets this like district wide view at first. You get this kind of like overview, bird's eye view with this thing called an engagement score, which is pulling in all kinds of metrics, like teachers using it, students using it, how they're using it, the amount of positive behaviors they're being able to give out. And then it gives you this score. And so this score is, and you can get more information by hovering over this or just clicking into the school. And a school administrator, then this is the view. So if I was a school administrator at Queen Bee Middle School, this is the dashboard that would open up when I log in to Classcraft. And you get this beautiful graph. This is kind of just a metric of like, overall, this is how your school is doing. And you can see like usage happening over time. And just like you can do in the teacher analytics, you can filter by date and so on. And you can see like behaviors being used, overall activity in the platform, and then the climate overall, like this is how many positive behaviors versus negative behaviors are able to be given out by your teachers. You can see how many of your teachers are using it and how many of your students are involved as well. And so, but then there's all kinds of wonderful data in here. So this is school-wide positive behavior. We can see our best behaved students. Julio, oh my goodness, Julio's earning points 638 times in the last month. And in our school, we've had students being positive and hardworking 700 times in the last month. We've had students listening carefully while others speak 426 times. So it's really, really cool, and it's very specific. You can see exactly which students are excelling. You can see exactly which students are struggling, so you can help support those kids. And you can see how students are collaborating, because students can earn, like I showed, those kudos, and they have different powers that they can earn that are actually things that they can help each other with, like they can help other students, so they don't have to have powers that are always like something that helps me.
That would be my next question. Like, say, Mescaleros Apache School does this like science fair every year, and they do projects. You know, this would be like a project for a group of like maybe 4 or 5 students to work together. So, is there a way to capture that data for that event?
Yeah, that's a
Or
great
is it
question.
harder to piece apart? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
Yes.
how I would utilize it in their district, because I think they may be tied into this some sort of bigger for like a grant or something like that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, you can get creative. Like the platform is super customizable. So just off the top of my head, like what I would do for that specific event would be to build a quest, and like on a map. I didn't really show a quest too much, but you can build a quest out and it'll show student progress through something like any kind of project. I used a lot of project-based learning in my classes, and I always had a quest there. And what I could do then is you can look at the map and you can see where all of your students are in that process. So, oh, some of my students are way back here in the beginning still. They need to do their research still. Other kids are finishing up their presentation all the way at the end here. And you can easily see which kids are where. On the global side of things, we can see here, like, okay, this is how many quests have been completed in the past month by our students in our school. But on the teacher side of things, you can drill into the microcosm and see exactly which students are where in those quests. So that's really what I would do for an individual kind of project thing like that.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that question. And then I'm a part of a region, and we support 7 school districts that are under our umbrella. And I do have a PBIS instructor. Her name is, or coach in the district that works with our districts. And her name is April Lindsay. She's fortunately, she wasn't here today because she's at a training. But I would like to reconnect her with you and see what we can, maybe if she would even like to utilize this in our 7 school districts. And if we did, you know, is there some sort of type of collaborative way to do that without having to go to each, and you know, like purchase under the region, but you're providing districts, 7 different school districts with this tool.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Short answer is yeah, there would be a way to
Okay.
do that for you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. I like the flexibility. I appreciate that.
Totally.
Well, we are we're pretty much, we're kind of over. We went over, but a lot of good information. And Caitlin, I just want to give you another opportunity if you have any questions. And if you don't mind to, I don't know if you have a PowerPoint at the end with your information. I mean, slide at the end with your information that you can just pop up there.
I don't have it in this PowerPoint slide, but I do have a PowerPoint with that.
You know what? I'm just putting you on the spot. Sorry.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything, but I do have I think I have my card. Yeah, but let me fix my background here. Yeah.
Hey, you know, you just got to get creative sometimes.
There we go.
There you go.
Here we go. Oh, is it backwards?
Perfect. No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to let you know, Caitlin's kind of just chatting with me right now, but she said she's with the Eagle Nest under the Cimarron School District. So welcome to her. And she does use PBI. She does use PBIS in her school district, but not currently using Classcraft. So Caitlin, Franco just popped up his information on the screen. I'm going to give out the recording. Let's maybe pull it up or chat it for her to copy paste in the chat room. And if you have any other questions, these guys are amazing and wonderful to work with. So we'll get you that information right now. Do you think it's safe to stop recording, gentlemen?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay, hold on one second.